Hello, I'm Joe Newmeyer, film critic for New York's WOR Radio and a proud board member of the Annapolis Film Festival, and welcome to the Q&A for River City Drumbeat, one of the very special films screening at this year's 9th annual AFF. It's my pleasure now to welcome the film's directors, Marlon Johnson and Anne Flatte. Hi, Marlon and Anne. Thanks so much for joining us, and congratulations on the film.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you, Joe.
You're so welcome. It is such a terrific film, so uplifting and so important in so many ways. Talk to us about the origins of it, guys, how you decided to film this amazing community of leaders and musicians.
Yeah, well, first of all, both Anne and I have worked on many documentaries separately. And Anne had come out to Miami and we worked on a project out there together and we really hit it off and always kind of imagined possibly doing a feature down the road. And Anne has a executive producing partner who's from Louisville and knew about the organization and had always wanted to do something with it. And then when the founder, Mr. White, decided that he was going to retire, that was really when the ball got rolling and I was invited out to Louisville to essentially just explore and get to know the outgoing director and the incoming director. And they're really, from the very beginning, there was a connection. And felt that connection as well and knew that they had a great story there. And we wanted to track them for a year, just exposing the world to this great organization and the great people involved in it.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, when I met the founder, Mr. White, I was just so bowled over by him. Just he's such a powerful personality and has such a compelling life story, and one of these unsung heroes who just has dedicated his life to his community, and it was incredibly inspiring. And everybody was like, well, there needs to be a movie, and there's so many stories to tell about this organization and the life work essentially of Mr. White and Zambia and Nkrumah. And so it was just an honor to be able to do it and to work with Marlon creatively was a joy.
Well, it's filled with so many amazing personalities, actually, both the kids and the leaders, and we'll get to all of them in a moment. But I wanted to actually just touch on before that on two of the main themes of the film, of course, which is one is obviously the transformative power of music and the arts and what it means to you, what it meant to all of the people you were documenting, and the importance of the history and culture of the African-American experience, and the kids and everyone in the film really drawing strength from that. Talk to us about how you saw both of those threads as you made the film.
Anne?
Sure, I love that question. I mean, music has such a power to connect us all. I mean, essentially, the arts have a power to speak to us in ways that are nonverbal, and so it's fun to talk about it and everything, but music, you feel it in your body, you feel it in your heart, you feel it in your soul. It's such a powerful human experience. And so to see, I mean, both Marlon and I have made many films about music and the human experience. And so this film just is definitely really diving deep into those themes. And then also, the community, what brings us together as a community, and how do we build those bonds with each other, and how do we strengthen those, and how do we do it in a way that is sustainable, and so music has a lot to offer people in this way, and I mean, I think we see it all over the world, and we definitely see it in the experience of the drum corps, and I'm sure Marlon can say much more about it too.
Again, it's this transformative quality that music has that allows kids who are oftentimes told no at every turn a whole set of new possibilities. I can track that in my own life as a kid who was in the performing arts, and how much of opening and awakening it was when I got into the arts, and really celebrating that phenomena and bringing it to the screen was really important. And then filming ordinary people in these communities doing extraordinary things was the other real theme we wanted to make sure came through, because so oftentimes those narratives don't get told. And we thought it was important because of the enormous work that they are all doing.
Yeah, and Mr. White's narrative is so phenomenal and so fascinating and so inspirational in so many ways,
Sure.
and dramatic. Let's talk about that central dynamic in the film, that sort of passing of the baton from him to Albert. It's really not just a great subject for a documentary, but it's so cinematic, isn't it? How were they, as you approach them, about chronicling this moment for them? Because there must have been so many emotions involved for each of them.
Yeah, I think that, as storytellers, I think we've gotten better. I've gotten better at really listening to the participants in the film. And once they feel that you are listening, that you are allowing them to tell the story, there's a level of trust that comes with that, and responsibility. And I think we gained that pretty early on, pretty quickly. I mean, I like to say that I think Albert said at one point, we disappeared, in the best sense of the word. We were able to be present, but not influence as much as we could what was going on in their lives, and just allowing them to tell the story, allowing them to take the lead. And that's really important.
Yeah, and if I could just add to that, I mean, we definitely felt like this was a great way into the story, because it was obviously so difficult for Mr. White to pass this on to somebody else, because he had devoted his life for 30 years to this organization. And so, it was a difficult transition for him, and that was something he was very open about and shared, and yet he knew it had to happen. And so there was like an emotional struggle there that was very compelling, that I think a lot of people can relate to. And then for, Albert stepping into these incredibly large shoes, and like the pressure of that, and also all of the things that he was juggling in his own life with his family and responsibilities and his own art. These are also things that, like, I think Marlon and I related to very much, as parents, as artists, and I think a lot of other people will too. There's a lot there. So we knew that would be kind of the central storyline, and then we also had a lot of other storylines as well, but that was the one that we kept coming back to.
Yeah, and there was a lot of pressure. I mean, even in the end, it's a lot. The deeper you go down the rabbit hole, the more responsibility you feel as a filmmaker to get the story right, to have it be authentic, to have it also be your signature that you place on the film, and then having two of the main participants say, we nailed it, or we got it right, we're telling their life story. And none of it matters if they don't feel that we did a good job.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of pressure that comes along with that, right?
Yeah, and I mean, we could talk about this a long time. I'll say one more thing about structure. It's like a lot of films like this, about arts groups like this, are structured around a competition. And we knew right away that we didn't, because it's not part of the drum corps philosophy to focus on competition. And so we knew that was not the right structure for a film like this, even though they do these big performances and they do like a progression. It's really about the long haul for these kids, and it's a year-round thing. It's not like a season. It's not about the trophy. It's about life. And so making the storylines about real life things was what we felt was important, which we felt was reflective of what was important to them. So
yeah, I love how, right, it's not about competition. In fact, it's about inspiration, and that the drum corps, it's the young people, of course, but also Mr. White says, we as leaders don't get out of the way often. And Albert, of course, started in the drum corps at 8, and he's 34 when you filmed. And he talks about how the River City Drum Corps pledge helped create the life he's living today, and that sort of sense of empowerment. And you see all of them, the kids, Albert, Mr. White, moving on to other stages of themselves, of other versions of themselves, thanks to what the drum corps has brought to them, right?
Exactly.
Sure.
You say that so beautifully, and that's exactly right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, there's this immersive quality that happens in the film, in which, we are as much as possible having things unfold in real time, and the viewer is experiencing it in real time, and getting to know the folks in the film in a deeper way. And when you walk away from the film, so often we've been told that I feel like I know these people, even though one of the biggest challenges was that none of the folks in the film are famous, or there's not a historical event per se that's wrapped around it. And so to be able to walk away with that type of experience was really, really, really satisfying.
Yeah, you really do feel like you know them all, and you're so invested in their journey.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Let's also talk about the way the girls in the community take ownership of the trajectories of their lives, thanks to the drum corps, and a lot of leadership is now young women. I think is mentioned in the film. That was important for you guys to capture on film as well, wasn't it? Because while all these journeys are going on, that particular angle of it is very special, right?
Absolutely. I mean, for me, it was very wonderful that this was a co-ed drum corps, and that it was for a long time. There are some drum corps that are not co-ed, and even that we encountered in the film, but the fact that this was like committed to girls and boys, that it was so inclusive, was so important to me, and to all the people in it. and I think it's important to show girls that maybe don't get a lot of screen time, frankly, and explore what their lives are like, and that everything that, it's as equally important as anybody else. Just like that's the message,
Yeah.
And it's not all about boys, it's not all about girls, it's about both.
Right.
Yeah, as a father of 4 girls, it was really inspiring to see, these girls, women in leadership roles. I think that's really important to have that type of diversity, and even in our own profession, having a co-ed partnership oftentimes allowed for the best perspective, where I may have had a blind spot, and was able to advocate for certain things, and vice versa.
Yeah. And then bring it back around, almost kind of speaking about something that we spoke about earlier, which is the notion that the arts are so important. And nothing against basketball or football practice, but even Mr. White speaks about when he was young, that was sort of what he was being told was one of the best options for him, being pushed on him. The arts weren't encouraged as much. It's so important to promote this among young people, the sense of being able to express yourself, boys and girls, across an art spectrum, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as a parent, I feel that. As a former child, I feel that, because I also, played music as a child. And even though I didn't become a professional musician, I feel like it helps me in everything I do, that kind of discipline. And the arts, are different than sports in that, in terms of the level of competition and the level of recognition for all people who are participating, because it's not about winners and losers. And this is definitely part of drum corps philosophy. Like, it's something you can do at any age. It's like it's a life skill. It's a life skill to be able to look at the world through an artist's eyes, and you don't need to be a professional artist to have that perspective, and to be able to recognize the world, things in the world, to be able to see the world differently. So, that's what I always say to myself about, about about art is that it's about really looking and seeing and processing the world in a very unique way that only you can do, you know.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah,
think it's powerful.
and the other thing I liked, which Mr. White explained early on, is that he gave everyone in the organization an ultimatum. You're not going to do sports, and we come in second place. It really was one or the other, because that's what sports demanded. And so I thought that was very admirable. And also we talked about imagining a world where so many Black boys specifically are pushed towards sports, and all the energy that's put into it. Nothing against sports, please don't kill me out there in Twitterland. You know, the practices and the competition and the repetition, if that were put into that same amount of energy, that same amount of money, resources were put into the arts and the science and literature, and you know, all these other options, what our country might look like.
Yeah, yeah. And I love,
it's crazy to imagine.
yeah. And I even love how the, you know, those first moments of the film when Albert says, you know, we come into this world as drummers. That's your mother's heartbeat that you're hearing, and being able to kind of take that and extrapolate that is such a beautiful and poetic sentiment. An amazing documentary like this teaches us so many things, guys. To wrap up, Ann and Marlon, I'm wondering what each of you learned in the journey of making this film and getting to know this community.
For me, I grew up in a neighborhood that was similar to the West End, that is similar to the West End. And it just reaffirmed a lot of my own instincts, which is to say that there is another narrative out there in communities like this. And this just reaffirmed my own belief in the beauty in these communities and the beauty in the citizens of this community. And if we can only, each one of us, look at the humanity of these places first, so much more can get accomplished.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I feel like I really learned at a deeper level than I probably understood before the power of mentorship. I think the extreme power of mentorship was so evident throughout this film and in the lives and the dedication to the young people. I mean, it was really inspiring to me personally, and it works. And so just seeing a positive vision of that meant a lot. And that's, I guess, I mean, I learned so much from Mr. White and many of the people in the film, but I guess if I had to say one thing, that's what I would say: mentorship.
Yeah, well, the film is really so special and about so many things and so outstanding in so many ways. Congratulations again. It's an honor to have it be part of the Annapolis Film Festival. Thanks to all of our fest sponsors and to all of our filmmakers, patrons, and attendees. Ladies and gentlemen, Marlon Johnson and Ann Flatte, and the film is River City Drumbeat. Thank you both so much. Have a great day.
Thank you so much, and thank you, Annapolis Film Festival, for programming our film.
Thanks so much. Bye, guys. Thanks.